So my agent just hit me and said that I'm going to be on TMZ tomorrow from an altercation that happened with me and Nina. So just wanted to get ahead of it. And I mean, it's really not anybody's business. It's pissing me off that it got out, but it's the world we live in today. But instead of talking about us, just keep us in y'all prayers. And stuff like this happens, bro. You know, we try to live the best lives we possibly can, but sometimes it don't go as planned. Just pray for us, you know, as we go through this stuff. You know, we're back talking. You know, I'm seeing my kids. So just keep us in your prayers.
Right, this is actually ridiculous. It got to a brand new level, and I can't help but feel absolutely horrible for Earl Thomas, because clearly this is not the result he was going for. Clearly he was trying to avoid this and try to get ahead of it before anyone else mentioned it. And unfortunately for him, his team is trying to leverage this situation to, well, make a roster transaction that I hope is just a rumor, because for all you know, it could be, but I'm going to let you guys decide that. What's going on, guys? Your boy Microphone back again with another video. And guys, really quickly, if you are new to my NFL channel, you love the NFL and you never want to miss a piece of news or content, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn notifications on to help the channel grow. We're almost at 50,000 subscribers. In addition to that, guys, I implore you to follow me on Twitch. We are actually starting to game with other NFL players, which is so freaking cool in my opinion. So make sure you're following me on Twitch. The link to that's in the description down below. I'm also going to start asking you guys in the Discord server which NFL players we should feature in our streams. And I feel like there's tremendous potential to have very, very entertaining streams and interact with our favorite NFL players. Now, with that being said, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Now, for those of you guys that missed out on what happened with Earl Thomas, I'm going to give you a brief summary of it here, but I implore you to go and check out the video we made on Earl Thomas and what happened with his wife Nina in the description down below. But I'll give you a brief summary about it because the detailed version is absolutely freaking crazy. I really think you guys should go watch it if you don't know what's going on, but I'm sure you know what's going on. Pretty much one day during quarantine, Earl Thomas goes to his wife Nina and says, yo, I'm gonna go out for a little bit, and his brother Seth picks him up. Nina goes on to Snapchat, sees that Earl Thomas is in a different location, tracks Earl Thomas because he hasn't been home for a while, and by the way, she logged into his Snapchat, and goes and sees Earl Thomas and Seth Thomas in bed with another chick. And, well, Nina went really, really crazy about this. She was absolutely frantic. Bear in mind, these two were married together 4 years ago, so obviously she's kind of freaking out. And she freaked out to the point where she drew a gun on Earl Thomas. Now, here's the scary thing. Nina pulled up with like a posse of like 2 other people, and eventually what ends up happening is Nina Thomas was chasing Earl Thomas around with a knife, but before that happened, apparently Nina took a loaded gun and held it at Earl Thomas's head. And well, the result of this is fairly unfortunate. Apparently these two can't quarantine together. They have to stay 200 feet away from each other according to a court order. But what even sucks more about this is Earl Thomas got wind of this, and Earl Thomas said, pretty much, give us our privacy, leave this alone, we don't want this story to get out. Well, unfortunately, the story got out, and the Baltimore Ravens also caught wind of this story, and as a result, they are making the most out of this opportunity to potentially cut Earl Thomas. So, look, this is according to the New York Post. I don't know how true this is. I don't know how much we could value this statement, but here's what's happening. According to the source, In the wake of his wife allegedly pointing a gun at his head last month after she found him in bed with other women and his brother Seth, the Ravens may be souring on the Pro Bowl safety, and this is according to the Baltimore Sun. They reported that the incident could violate his contract that isn't up until 2022. But here's the thing, I don't understand why the Baltimore Ravens would do that. A player like Earl Thomas is someone that you would want on your defense. It's not like he slowed down at all after sustaining a broken leg. Well, to be exact, a fractured left leg. But the weird thing about this, and this is why I'm having trouble believing this, is Earl Thomas made it to the Pro Bowl last year. He played 15 games, and previously he only played 29 games in the last 3 years. So the fact that he was able to play 15 games means that the Ravens were getting a return on their investment. Now, this story went viral, obviously, and it's not the best look for the Baltimore Ravens, and in terms of a culture standpoint, of course, it could look really, really bad. But at the same time, I don't understand why the Ravens would go and try to cut a player that is, in my opinion, a player that could be a defensive captain or should be a defensive captain. But here's apparently the Ravens' rationale for trying to cut Earl Thomas if this story is actually true. According to this source, the Ravens weren't the happiest with Earl Thomas last year. They felt like he freelanced too often, and he struggled with their defensive schemes, and that caused friction with his teammates. So here's the thing, I'm beginning to think that this could be a little speculative. I don't think any team would be frustrated with a player freelancing if it results in a Pro Bowl nod. Let's take a look at Earl Thomas's numbers real quick. Earl Thomas is a 3-time first-team All-Pro and a 2-time second-team All-Pro. To give you an idea of how good he is, he has been a consistent Pro Bowler and has made it to 7 Pro Bowls. And to give you an idea of how well he did last season, he forced 1 fumble, had 1 fumble recovery, had 2 sacks, he had 49 combined tackles, and he had 2 interceptions last year. To give you an idea, this guy's had 30 interceptions in the span of his entire career, and for the most part, his statistics are pointing to the fact that he's still a very, very productive player. Now, let's speak hypothetically, and let's say the Ravens actually go ahead and cut Earl Thomas, which, by the way, I really don't think it's going to happen. I really, really don't think the Ravens would cut Earl Thomas. Who do I think would sign Earl Thomas in this event? Well, if this is actually true, go ahead and tell me in the comment section, who do you think would sign Earl Thomas should he get cut by the Baltimore Ravens for this incident? I'll give you like 5 seconds really quickly. All right, you comment, good. Because I know I'm a Cowboy fan, but I can't help but feel like he's going to sign with the Dallas Cowboys at this point in his career if he does get cut, and this is why. First of all, if he gets cut, he's currently living in Texas. The Cowboys were always high on his list. He always wanted to go home. He played his college ball for the Texas Longhorns. He has ties to Texas. Secondly, the Cowboys desperately could use a free safety. A playmaker like Earl Thomas's caliber on the defensive side of the ball for the Dallas Cowboys, who just lost Byron Jones, who I know technically is a cornerback, but the Cowboys also used him as a safety fairly frequently, would be a huge boost to a defense that already boasts DeMarcus Lawrence on the defensive line, Leighton Vander Esch and Sean Lee in the linebacker core, and not to mention the newly added Trevon Diggs that they drafted in the 2nd round of the NFL draft, which in my opinion, and I know I could sound a little bit biased here, I had a 1st round grade on him. I feel like, hypothetically speaking, and this is a huge what if, you have to bear in mind, first of all, this story is going to have to be true, which I'm assuming it kind of is, because typically when this kind of stuff happens, that's the immediate reaction of NFL teams. If you go back to what happened to Kareem Hunt, they immediately cut him, but according to Andy Reid, the reason they cut Kareem Hunt is because he lied to the Kansas City Chiefs of what actually happened. In Earl Thomas's situation, in Earl Thomas's case, he saw this situation coming. So I can't help but think that Earl Thomas had the sense or the idea to reach out to the Ravens and say, yo, look, this is what's going on. This is what happened. This is what's going on in my personal life. This isn't something that you could expect from me consistently. It's a happenstance thing that's happening in the midst of a quarantine. And I just wanted to let you guys know before it happens, this is what actually happened. In terms of the story, yes, the story is horrible. But in terms of comparing Earl Thomas to Kareem Hunt, there's actual video footage of Kareem Hunt assaulting a woman. You know, and I don't even want to get into that story. I don't want to talk about that story. But there's video footage of it. There is a cell phone video of someone pointing a gun at Earl Thomas's head, but it's not like he behaved, well, he did cheat on his wife, but it's not like he behaved as a threat to society. It's not like he got physical with someone. It's not like he was a threat to someone's health. Yes, of course, you could make the argument that what he did was wrong in the narrative of a traditional relationship, but at the same time, you don't know Earl Thomas's relationship with Nina Thomas, so it's not our spot to comment on it. So essentially, if the Baltimore Ravens cut Earl Thomas, they're pretty much cutting him for cheating on his wife and his wife pointing a gun at him. And if you ask me, I think that I'm sure most people that are traditional say, yeah, he cheated on his wife, he deserves it. But dude, let's be honest. Let's be painfully honest. Let's be brutal. I'm not saying this is right, I'm just saying it's a thing. I'm a huge believer in there is an ideal version of the world, and then there is the way the world is. There's the way we would like the world to be, and then there's the way the world is. The way the world is athletes tend to cheat on their wives. It's just a thing. They do. They're always on the road. Their wives aren't around. Athletes tend to cheat on their wives. It's a common thing. So the fact that Earl Thomas happened to have a gun pointed at him, and that's going to result in him getting cut from his team, I find it to be a little unfair. Is what he did wrong? Yes. But did he deserve to have a gun pointed at him? And should it have been handled in the way that Nina decided to handle it? In my opinion, no. In my opinion, they should have handled it in a much, much different way. And as a result, Earl Thomas is in the situation that he is in right now. I really hope he doesn't get cut. I really think he doesn't deserve it. And I'm really sad that this story broke out. As a matter of fact, the only reason I'm trying to make this video is to humanize both Earl Thomas and Nina Thomas. Hopefully things work out for him. I would love to see him in a Cowboy jersey, but I really wouldn't like this to result in a very Kareem Hunt-like situation or a Ray Rice-like situation as a result of it. I'm just happy that he's okay. I'm happy that the gun wasn't fired at him and he wasn't killed. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Hopefully this is the last video I have to make on this. I'm your boy Mikerophone. I'll catch you guys either in our Twitch stream or in our next upload.